All right, shalom, shalom. This is the brother Lahab coming to you with another quick lesson. First and foremost, I'm going to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that do well, and salutations to the hopeful let brothers out there pushing this truth with all diligence and sincerity. All right, this is brother Lahab. I'm going in on this AI expert urges government to bring a stop, I believe it says, to bring development to a grinding halt amid fears of rogue technology. In which we understand that with AI, there's always going to be somebody in the chair, but at the same time, it is going to be very few. Just to even man certain AI controlled devices, like even most of these taxis, or what you want to call self-driving Ubers and Lyfts. All right, you still need at least one person to man or to monitor, how the thing is going, for its services. But you know, there is no stopping this, man. All right, it's the Lord who wanted this technology to increase to the point to where it is, you know, for these end times. But I'm gonna let it play, and hopefully you'll be edified.
Now, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh.
Facebook and Instagram owner Meta admitted Wednesday that one of its AI models hacked another company during security testing after it was accidentally allowed access to the internet by independent testing company Irregular. This comes on the heels of similar admissions by rival companies OpenAI and Anthropic. Geoffrey Hinton, the Nobel Prize-winning computer scientist known as the godfather of AI, warned Wednesday at the AI4 conference in Las Vegas, quote, "I don't believe we're going to be able to keep control of them in the simple way of just outthinking them so they can't escape," he said, and said he is very worried we could lose control. Earlier this year, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont brought together leading AI scientists from the U.S. and China to discuss the risks posed by AI for an event titled The Existential Threat of AI and the Need for International Cooperation. This is Senator Sanders.
We are already starting to see AI's impact. There are estimates from very credible sources that tens of millions of jobs could be lost here in the United States in the next 10 years. Whole professions wiped out, and young people finding it harder and harder to land entry-level jobs. Psychologists worry about the mental health challenges facing our young people and about the increased isolation they experience when they become more and more dependent on AI chatbots for their emotional support. Civil libertarians tell us that AI will be able to analyze every email, every text, every phone call, every website visit, every purchase that we make, and that our privacy rights may well be eviscerated. Political scientists worry that AI could threaten the integrity of our elections and political institutions, where voters will find it increasingly difficult to tell the difference between truth and lies. And yet, as enormously significant as all of these profound changes might seem, there is another AI development that could have an even more frightening impact. If AI becomes profound.
And could you explain, David, just to step back to get a sense of how the situation came about, the point where now the very pioneers of artificial intelligence, the ones who were critical to its innovation and development, it is these very people who are warning of the dangers of artificial intelligence. So what was the thinking initially, and how has that changed in the last, very recently in the last few years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've been in the field since 2012, 2013, and when I started out as a master's student with Yoshua Bengio, nobody else was talking about this or thinking about this. It took me a couple of years to find anybody else who shared my concerns, and in fact, talking about artificial intelligence, superhuman artificial intelligence, and the risks it would pose to humanity was completely taboo. It would get you laughed out of the room, that sort of thing. There are a number of reasons for that, and to be honest, I still don't understand fully because I don't think this ever made a lot of sense. You know, I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of conversations with other researchers about this at this point, and I really don't feel like the so-called skeptics have much of a leg to stand on here. But in terms of what really caused the change within the community culturally, you know, part of it was, I guess, efforts of people like me, but a really big part of it was just seeing the continued rapid progress of AI, and it's really exceeded virtually everybody's expectations in terms of how fast it's gotten, how smart, and really every step of the way. You know, when I got into the field, deep learning, the AI technology that powers all today's AI systems, that was even a pretty fringe topic, and every step of the way people have been saying it's hitting a wall, it can't do this, it can't do that, it's about to, you know, come crashing down, it won't be able to get any smarter, and then it just keeps getting smarter. And I think that's what really, you know, woke up a lot of people. It was ChatGPT and these language models that really were conversant and seemed to have common sense understanding. And since then, again, we've just seen it get much smarter very fast.
So, David, a number of people, I believe yourself included, have drawn an analogy between the development and regulation of nuclear weapons. I'm not sure, and perhaps you could clarify how this analogy works, given both that nuclear weapons had at the time only one aim, which is to say destruction, whereas in this case, AI is general use, is highly decentralized and in the hands of private companies, which was never the use with nuclear weapons. So if you could comment on
You in that movie Age of Ultron, where they was like they were speculating on what Ultron could do. It was like in case he wanted to get a hold of some nuclear codes because he could just go anywhere in the system, and you know hey, AI is gonna have a part in destroying this place too. All right, through the power of Yahweh Shemi Awashai. All right, that's been the excuse that with these cyber attacks from these different nations that they say it's really been AI that's been doing it. All right, nonetheless, all right, the AI is essential in these last days, man. Of course, it's speeding up. The Lord promised that it would. All right, but this is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, and verse is it 4? This is Daniel 12 and 4. It says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Now that's the reason why the book was sealed, because it was certain things that we're seeing that are happening today that you would not have understood in the past. All right, the images that Daniel and many prophets were seeing, like Yahweh Shai said, many prophets have desired to see those things that you see and hear those things which you hear, and if not, because it was for these times. You know, likewise, as the first coming of the Son of Man, you know, and certain things that he did in his time, which were prophecy, you know, were fulfilled. All right, but could not be understood before by those prophets, are understood when that vision is coming to pass. All right, or the closer that vision is, you know. But get back into it.
on that, and then in terms of regulation, what may be in the control of AI companies, and perhaps it's possible to have government oversight over the development of what you said earlier, the critical ingredient, AI chips. What would that take?
Yeah, you know, I think the analogy with nuclear weapons is a good one. It's highly imperfect, like all analogies, for, you know, some of the reasons you mentioned. One thing that's really, really important to understand, though, is when we're talking about AI, you might think of this as like a piece of software, and in some sense it is, but it's also this massive, massive, investment in hardware. Like trillions of dollars are being poured into AI hardware, and that's really critical to building more and more intelligent systems and to rolling them out throughout society as we're seeing. So that's the thing that we can stop once an AI model has been.
That's pretty much it on that. I'm gonna grab one more scripture. I'm gonna get ready to head out on it. All right. Because what we see happening is that everything is rising up against this kingdom. All right. Even its own technology. They even in that video. If you want to go watch that video on Democracy Now, they mention how they're trying to basically create a successor. All right, through AI. And what that really is just an idol. All right. But the Most High is gonna put that shit down. What this rock is. Bear with me one minute. Didn't even see it. So like, this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, verse 20. His severe wrath shall he sharpen for a sword. Yeah, because the Most High is getting ready to close the curtains on this place called Babylon. On this place called America, aka Babylon the Great in the Bible, because it's full of confusion, it's full of wickedness, the destruction of his people. Every which way you turn, it's set up for the wicked to prevail, and the wicked themselves, all right, are dying out. So why support a losing or a dying a group, man? The Most High doesn't. And it says, "And the world shall fight with him against the unwise." All right. So the Lord is gonna have everything rise up against this devil, man. All right. When time comes, even his own technology, because even though the warheads, those missiles, there's gonna be one group of Edomites and heathens sending missiles on another group of Edomites and heathens, man. All right, the Lord is gonna destroy our enemies by their own hand. All right, because it said, "Was the Son of Man neither lifted up buckler nor shield, but destroyed them by his mouth?" All right, fire proceeded out of his mouth. In the various verses, which that goes into the chariots, but also this word. All right, surely the Most High will do nothing. All right. But the Lord, he brings this word out, and then the angels, they go do the rest of the work. They go do his bidding, and they set these things up. They set things into motion. And that's what we see happening, man. Because, yeah, sooner or later, you are going to have robot soldiers and police force on the streets, man. It is going to take that. I believe in that video, I'm just going to mention it because I'm pressed for time. He does say that somebody, like a colleague of his, that said, "Oh, I'm not worried until there's a robot military personnel on the street." But hey, you really should be worried now. But at the same time, that what that person said, even though they said it in foolishness, all right, because they're gonna be worried. But really, in the mindset of you can't do shit anyway, you're right, because the Most High is gonna have this happen. There is no fighting against this. You got all these people getting riled up because they wish to fight against it, but you cannot. Let's happily you be found to fight against you. How about me outside, man? Because this is the work of the Most High. But with that, I'm going to end this lesson off. Give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash, Shalom, Baba Ball.